Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is gonna be my full Thai Park interview. Like I said many times, and I don't mean to keep saying this over and over, this is, I think, my finals week. That's kind of bad when you think it's your finals week, but, yeah. So I don't have the ordinary amount of time I usually have, so I'm gonna be using the full Thai Park interview, all 28 minutes, I think it is, or something like that, as my Friday video. I'll probably be back Saturday or Sunday with another video. I'll be wrapping up my semester early next week. And then I could almost be publishing every day, guys. So stay with me. Stay tuned. There'll be some exciting things going on this summer. And yeah, if you haven't already, definitely check that lower right-hand corner and subscribe. Turn on bell notifications and stay tuned for the full interview. Thanks, guys.
When I started, actually, with the Tegus, I go back a long way with, Bert Langerworth. He was godfather of Tegus. He's the one who found out about the, the effect of the UVB on sensitizing vitamin D3 and stuff. And he's the one who, found out about how black and white Tegus actually build nests and, things like that. He was a pioneer. Mm-hmm. And he was a doer. He doesn't read things; he do things and do it his own way. And he taught me a lot. He was a good friend, and unfortunately, he passed, obviously. Mm-hmm. But out of respect for him, when he was alive, I never worked with Tegus or bred them. Yeah. And after he passed, I decided that I was going to start, kind of honor him in a way and start working with Tegus, because number one, I thought with the personality, code round personality, but then not really personality, Teguality or Iguanality, whatever you want to call it, but it was their personality. I knew they would make excellent pets, and I started working with them, and I got more and more fascinated as I was working with them. And the stuff that I found out working with, hundreds of them. I probably have a couple hundred Tegus here now. Mm-hmm. Diet is very important to me, and there seems to be a lot of misinformation about the dieting. So I've been trying to change that, but it's not easy. The old school still, do it the old way, and basically last 7 years I've been feeding my Tegus nothing but dog food. The reason is very simple. I've seen a lot of obese Tegus, and if you look at the biology of Tegus in the wild, and we gotta study the wild first, and then we need to adapt what you learn from the wild Tegu to captivity, captive Tegu, which are different than the wild Tegus, right? Yep. So anyway, what I found out from researching is, number one, they're omnivores. I think Bert said something about the stomach content of the wild Tegus are like 60% vegetable material. Mm-hmm. And so, that got me thinking, and basically I decided that there are omnivores that prefers eating meat, right? Yeah. And I say that prefer eating meat because if you look at their biology, they are hibernating almost half of their life. Yeah. Right? They hibernate for 5-6 months. Here, even in Florida. I'm in Southwest Florida, and it does get a few nights. It gets cold, but relatively mild, right? Yeah. So now you got this animal who hibernates for 5-6 months. Doesn't eat anything for 5-6 months. Of course, they are just like a polar bear. Their preferred diet will be something rich in protein and fat, so they could, pack as much nutrient or fat into their body so they don't have to eat for 5 months, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. now you look at people who are taking care of tegus in captivity, and they barely hibernate them for 2 months, maybe. Some of them don't even hibernate at all. You call it brumation. I call it hibernation anyway. So now you got these fat tegus eating mostly meat because that's what they prefer to eat. I hear people saying things like, "Oh, they don't like vegetables. They won't eat food." Well, yeah, because they prefer meat, of course, because they want to pack on fat because they have to go to sleep for 6 months. So it doesn't happen in captivity, right? So so you give them meat and fruit, they're gonna eat meat, and and people have good heart, and so they're weak, and if they don't think about starving them for week or 2 weeks to make them eat what they need to eat instead of giving them what they want to eat. It's just human nature.
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
Sure. Yeah, they could live without food for 6 months, yet you can't serve them for a week to give them and have them, eat something that they need to eat. So that's a lot of problem. I see a lot of problem right now with that. So I decided over 7 years ago that, the best food for them would be omnivore diet. And I thought the best food that I could come up with that's omnivore diet is dog food. Because if you look at dog food, you could get them from anywhere from 50 cents a pound up to like $10 a pound, right? If you believe that they don't need grain, you could go to the store and pick up a dog food that doesn't have grain, right? If you think that they should be frozen, oh great, get frozen dog food. There are thousands of different variety of dog food, different tastes, different brands.
That's
Whatever you
true.
believe your tegu deserve, if you want to spend $20 a pound for tegu food, go for it. If you want to, give them just Purina dry chow, go for that. But to me, it's a nutrient, So I've been emphasizing people to just get them on dog food, whatever the dog food that you think that you should be giving them, and that is the healthiest way to keep your tegu. And all I hear is people saying, "Well, they won't eat it." Well, I haven't had one tegu that doesn't eat dog food after a while.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just you didn't give them enough chance, right? And then I hear things like, "Well, they don't eat dog food in the wild." Come on, really? How many percent of the diet that we feed our reptiles are what they eat in the wild? 5%, 10%. Even the snake doesn't eat, in captivity what they eat, the same thing they eat in the wild.
Yeah.
Iguana, the stuff that we feed them in captivity, they're not the same greens that they're eating in the wild, right?
Yeah. And like you said too, like you start with the wild tegu, but as they start living in captivity, that changes. So the husbandry changes as well.
Well, true, and also you gotta remember that, and then a lot of people and are stuck on whatever they are receiving in the wild is the bad thing for me. For me, I think I could do better in captivity. I could give them better nutrition.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because, I really think that I can give them. And people come to me and say, "Well, how can you? They don't eat corn. They don't eat wheat in the wild." And it's like almost laughable because what kind of reasoning is that? That's not even logic to me. Think about it. Okay, so because I'm an Asian and I didn't eat wheat, my ancestors didn't eat wheat and corn. We only ate rice. That I can't come to the West and don't get nutrition from wheat or corn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I get that.
And tegus are very much like human, pigs, or they're very much of a like omnivore. Okay, and they're Their digestive system is omnivore. And also one thing that you got to remember about tegus that they are very, very adaptive species. Okay, not unlike like horned toads. I mean, they eat ants, and they there are some reptiles that just not very good at adapting to different type of food or different type of environment. They're very specific in their demand. Tegus are different. They're very adaptive animals. I've seen tegus out in the Arizona, and dry as heck, but they're doing fine outdoors. And you see tegus in Florida, obviously. So they're very adaptive species. Their diet's very adaptive. They're survival species to me. And so, I've been finding out a lot about tegus, and also, I'm starting to find out some of these reptiles, and most of reptiles, even the temperature preference. There might be a 10-degree difference between species, for instance, right? I mean, why is it that some people like me, I like my room at 80 degrees, literally. My son like it at 68 degrees, right?
That's me.
And some people prefer warmer, some people prefer cooler. Tegus are the same way, all right? I mean, you can't, just because your tegus don't like 110 degrees spotlight, that doesn't mean somebody else, the tegus, won't like 110 degrees.
Yeah.
So you should start, I mean, it's great to have care sheet, and I don't like care sheet because it just put these animals in a small, like, mold, and they're better than that. I mean, they deserve better than what the care sheet tells them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if care sheet tells you hot spot should be 100 degrees, okay, start with that. But then you don't stop there.
Yeah.
You're going to observe them and say, okay, how is he doing under the 100 degrees hot spot? Is he sitting there for hours? Then this animal need higher temperature, right?
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore. They just look at the care sheet, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And they're going to say, well, care sheet said 100 degrees, so that's what I'm giving them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, so think like that. It's great to research things and start with that, but you don't stop there. You got to do your research. You got to specifically observe. Caring for animals, 50% is observation. Okay? And a lot of people just maybe they don't have the time, or maybe they don't want to think. But when you bring an animal under your care, you gotta give 100%.
Yeah. Yep, they're living things.
You gotta do the research. You gotta observe them, and you gotta tweak things.
Yeah.
So that what they prefer, you're gonna have to come up with the formula for that specific animal.
Yeah, you should know your animal better than anyone. You take the responsibility to bring them into your care. It's your job to give them the best life that you can give them. That's how I view it.
Right.
But
I think that that's why I hate care sheet, because it just seems that trying to don't make it so easy. I mean, you gotta put you have to put the time and effort into caring for these animals.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I like care sheets at some points to get started, but like I definitely think you make a good point of people think that's sort of like the ultimate, like you understand the care guide and then that's it. I like it as a good starting basis to get introduced to a species, but I do think too many people think that's like all you have to do and then you're good.
Yeah, I mean, just like Big Blue about romaine lettuce, right? And the iguanas. Just because Green Iguana Society had 20 years ago said romaine lettuce is not good for iguana, it's still there. People are still saying, well, you can't feed them, lettuce. Well, I kept iguanas very healthy on 100% romaine lettuce for 3+ years now, just to disprove that point, right? I mean, and And the problem with all these charts with, nutritional values and stuff, it's great. Chemical analysis is great, but the digest system of an iguana is chemical analysis. I mean, come on, how are you gonna equate that? Think about iguanas eating these highly toxic, poisonous plants, and they do fine, right? I mean, so how do you explain that? If you analyze them chemically, you would say, "Oh my God, they should be dead," but they're getting nutrition from that. So I mean, it's great that you have all these values with calcium and phosphorus or whatever the is in the plant that you analyze chemically, right? And nothing really it's totally dissimilar to what happens in the iguana's stomach. All right, and so there's a lot of things that I don't believe in that happen, and I think we need to evolve out of that and stop depending on some of the things that relied on, even 20 years ago. So, I mean, obviously giving variety is important to, herbivores. I still give iguanas at least 75% greens, mostly, kale or mustard green, turnip, all the stuff that you could find in grocery stores.
Yeah.
They don't need, 40 different plant materials to survive. If you give them good variety of 10 to 20 vegetables, they do excellent,
Yeah.
And I have to argue with people who say, "Oh yeah, I mean they eat 100 different type of plants and this and that." And I'm in Mexico and I'm in Florida. I'm observing these iguanas, and they basically rely on 80% of the time. They rely on one or two different wild. So I mean, and they're also very adaptive to what they could eat. The iguanas in Florida is going to eat different things than the iguana in the jungle in Amazon somewhere. Like Brazil, for instance.
Yep.
And again, iguanas are very adaptive animals, and I find that rock iguanas are very adaptive animals. And like I said, take species individually, and you could take leopard geckos. You take what we see in the pet stores and leopard geckos, and you compare that to the wild leopard geckos. They're not even the same species, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah,
they've
I
been
can see
evolved
that.
so much under our care. So I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too much, but talking too much. But that's how I feel about the state of reptile keeping right now.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, and you make a lot of good points. It's some people, especially some people, they'll see one article and they'll read it. They don't really look too much into it, and that's automatically fact to them. Or just some people don't want to look the extra mile. It's I think it's just continuing a dialogue. I feel like you just never want to stay the same, but you always want to make sure that the new things you're trying it sounds reasonable.
Well, the thing that I really hate about what's going on these days is people tend to knock down people, if it's something that they don't agree on, they come on, like Facebook or whatever, and kind of, that's bad things about them just because they're not doing it the way they're doing it.
Yeah, and make it personal.
It's okay. There's so many different ways to keep, like, for instance, iguanas or tegus, right? That's because this person isn't doing it exactly your way. That doesn't mean the way the other person is doing it is the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay? I think we should step back, and I learned this by experience. I used to be the same way. I was critical. I usually don't come out and say it, but inside me, I was critical. But as I gotten, more mature and educated, I realized there's many different ways of doing keeping reptiles. And a lot of people, like, for instance, a big impact I had was when I was in LA one day, and I was driving down the street, and I saw this, homeless man with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought is, what the heck is he doing with the? He doesn't even have a home, and you have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Poor dog was my first thought.
Yeah.
And I'm driving along, and more I think about it. Dog was healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure this person loved his dog as much as we love our dog or pet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has absolutely the right to have that dog, just like we have right to have a dog or our own pet.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that kind of went off in my head, and I stopped being judgmental about people who doesn't spend a lot of money on, keeping their reptile. As long as they, put in the time and they put in the effort into it, I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna come out and say, "Oh yeah, I can't believe you put this animal in this small cage." No, as long as you take them out and play with them and let them free roam and stuff, and then as long as they get the right hot spot and right nutrition and things, how can we criticize that? But yet I see that all the time on Facebook and different places, Instagram. People are just so dramatic about what other people are doing wrong things, and
I think
a lot of times I don't even comment anymore.
I think it ultimately turns them away from seeking help in the future and thus getting better care for their animal.
Yeah, I think you should stop criticizing people. At least if you want to criticize people, or you want to make, if you're really concerned, you should send them a private message and say, "Hey, I'm concerned about this or that, and maybe you should do it this way and that." And that should be your approach. And I've done that a couple of times, and usually it's always in positive results.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a few people say, "Hey, no, they kind of went off on me," and so what? You tried, and the other person doesn't even want to listen. Don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I definitely, as long as you sort of have a will, I feel like everybody should just always have a willingness to learn, and everybody's gonna make mistakes. That's just being human. So I don't think they should be immediately attacked. Just for
the stuff that we make. A mistake that I made is that's what I stand on right now. The stuff that I made mistake on. When I came here as a 13-year-old, I went to Kmart and bought a Cayman. Little alligator, Cayman. They actually sold those at Kmart back then.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know. I'm not giving away my age, but yeah, literally, Kmart had this pet department. They had Cayman in like 20-gallon tanks, and I bought one, and how can you research that? There's nothing to research. There's no internet and stuff. Give them hamburgers and stuff. Of course, it promptly died on me.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the stuff that we done in the past to get to where we are.
Yeah. Ultimately, failing is the road to success. That's how you learn.
Yeah, I made more mistakes than everybody combined, probably, but it got me where I am.
Yep, and I would say you're doing a very good job down there. So
I'm trying. I'm learning, and I'm not perfect. I change things, and I'm always experimenting with different stuff. And a lot of times, the idea I come up with, maybe 80% of the time, I say, "Oh, well, I tried it, but it didn't work."
Mm-hmm.
But the other 20%, it worked, and it's great, and it's good for the animal that I'm keeping, and that's the way it should be.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, that's I like, obviously I'm doing this for a YouTube channel, and I am definitely a very new person to the reptile hobby. So that's why I like doing, I wanted to do this video on just like asking the experts, because I try not to come off as sort of an expert, just kind of an enthusiast, because I don't know nearly as much as people like you and like Laura Roberts and stuff about these animals. And I feel like a lot of people don't really, I don't know, like I know you've who was it, Kenan from Camp Kenan. Like he does it really well down there. Like I feel like a lot of people who keep pets should, that should be the dream goal. And I just see like, a bunch of like, animals just, I just feel like it's just really good. And I just think there needs to be more of that positive message out there. So I think more of the breeders and the people who have really been grinding out need to sort of have more of a voice so people get it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are a lot of good people out there, and obviously Kenan's one of them, Laura's the other, and there are many good people out there who genuinely care about the animals and helpful, and they don't think of this as a business. It's a passion for them, and of course. There's nothing wrong with making money, because the money is not a dirty word. It's commerce.
Well, you have to survive.
There should be value on some of these animals. Without the value, the monetary value, it's not going to be as successful, as we are with captive breeding, for instance.
Yeah,
because nobody going to starve and do these.
Yeah, exactly. And the purpose of life is finding things in life that you love doing, and finding a way to do that as much as I guess you can. So,
yeah, exactly.
And it's important. Like, it's important we understand these animals, and even people who don't own them, just to generally understand reptiles in the wild and stuff. That that's important in general.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there should be. I think people should be rewarded when they put this much effort into it. Why not? It's just because it's animal, that doesn't mean that we can make money, doing it. So.
Yeah, no, and I definitely, I try to go out to. I mean, I'm poor. I'm a grad student, so I can only do so much, but. I try my best to support people who are very passionate about what they do, and I feel like they're the most passionate people, the most kind people who really are doing something they love, really never get the notoriety they really deserve. So I try to, I like to try to hope or give something to those people just so they know that they're doing a good thing, even if not all the rewards are there.
Right, and you mentioned things like expert, and I don't consider my expert at all, because I'm always learning, and I have to also tell people, this is just my view. This is how I do it. That doesn't mean it's the perfect way for you. Try it, and if it doesn't work, tweak it so that so that it works for you.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
We're all different. Animals are different. It has to be the right fit, and just because I do it this way, you don't have to do it this way. Like if you find that it's doing something else than what I'm doing, it's better. You need to do that. So I'm just one point. I'm just one way of doing things, and like I said before, there's just no one way of doing, keeping reptiles. So.
Yeah. Well, to me, what sort of defines an expert is someone who has that viewpoint, who someone is, an expert to me wouldn't call themselves an expert. And, there is, people should be exploring different avenues and stuff. I agree 100% on that. But, you still have totally 100% valuable knowledge that people coming in, would learn and gain a lot from. So I think, nobody really is an expert, but if I was to define an expert, it would be someone who would, have that attitude that you're having now. So
Well, you could call me experienced, and I buy that.
Okay, I'll agree with that. I'll meet halfway.
When you have a couple hundred tegus and thousands of iguanas and stuff, you will see things that the other people don't see, and I call that experience more than expertise, because I do experience a lot of stuff here. So.
Yep, I'll settle with you on that one. That is a good word.
Yeah. Okay, so John, I'm gonna say goodbye. Unless you have something important to ask me.
No, that was a good conversation. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. If you need anything else, let me know.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right. Good night.
Night.
Bye bye.